Learn medications as well. You're going to have time on placement when you've seen a client to have time in between and before you see a client to look up medications, but the more you know, the better off you'll be when you get on placement. I know a lot of the time when I was on placement, the clinical supervisor would ask me what different medications were and what they do. So know the ones that are going to be related to the different conditions and what they do. There are hacks to it, but it's just repetition, repetition, repetition. Other than that, it is identifying where you are going on placement, and then have a look at that website, have a look at that hospital in general, identify what the normal clients are and what you'll be exposed to. And then another tip is, if there are placement students that have gone on placement before you at that location, identifying from them what they did, how they did, who they need to talk to, what they should make sure of, and that will really set you apart when you start.
No. If someone's got a cold sore, if someone has poor nail health, so maybe they've got lots of chips or they've got white spots in their nails, maybe I would consider it, but not just generally for immune deficiency. Oh yeah, so with type 2 diabetes, yeah, for sure. It depends if that's their goals are to lose weight. Obviously if they're on insulin or on metformin or other forms of hypoglycemic or anti-hypoglycemic agents, then you would probably need to review that with their GP. But yeah, for sure you can recommend those, just as long as you've got a tight monitoring of that client's blood sugars.
I would make sure that I first identify what the client actually wants to achieve in terms of the exact goal around weight. If it is just purely a fat loss type thing, or if they just want to lose weight in general, if they're a sports client, if they're just a run-of-the-mill, mother who wants to lose post-baby weight or whatever, just identifying exactly what their goal is. So really digging into that, and then identifying if there's a number value that they're looking for, or if there's a clothes size or an event that they're looking to get to, and then work backwards from there. And then I just identify the best way to go about it based on their life and what they want to achieve.
Well, for many reasons. One, because you're going to get experience. But two, I think if you're a student especially, or someone that's a new grad that's struggling to find work, it's vitally important, because everyone when you come out will tell you that you don't have enough experience for the position. They'll say that someone else was picked because they had more experience. So experience doesn't necessarily necessitate that you are paid to do work. You could also be getting work experience. So you showing commitment to the profession, you showing commitment to whatever it is that you want to do, will set you apart from other people that aren't willing to, the people that are just willing to do a degree because they're worried about their GPA and that's all they're worried about. I get so passionate about work experiences because people are so worried about their GPA that they don't realise that the whole reason they're doing their degree is to get a job. So if you've got experience at the moment you graduate, how much better off will you be when you're trying to find a job than someone that hasn't?
Because generally what happened with diets over the last 50 years is that the low fat came in, so everybody low fat went high carb. But with that also energy in the current diets also increased, and so with that, irrespective whether it's carbs or fats, you're going to actually put weight on, particularly in an environment that we're living in. Also, people are not cooking as much as they used to. Mostly carbohydrates that we're eating are refined, high GI, poor quality, nutrient deficient carbohydrates. If you want to eat good quality carbohydrates, you need to be cooking. I'm sorry, but it's just not going to happen otherwise. Because if you want to cook, say, I don't know, pearl barley or brown rice, hey, you've got to cook it. It takes half an hour. God damn. If you want to cook potato or sweet potato, yeah, sorry, you could probably get it from the supermarket. You still got to put it in the microwave. Whereas if you're running around and you're grabbing food, then those foods, unless they're actually prepared from a cafe and they're expensive, most people aren't going to purchase those foods.
I never got a job with any of them post, but what they did was introduce me to other people and also get my rep up that I actually am willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. And that's something as an employer now that actually matters a lot. We get so many applicants that haven't done any work experience, and the common excuse is too busy with uni, too stressed, can't do it. But the reason you're doing uni is to become a dietitian, is to get work. So if your employer is looking for people who've done work experience, they're more likely to go for someone and interview someone that's done work experience than someone that hasn't.
Mentoring thing, when should you start looking for a mentor once you finish?
Most people don't start the mentor program until they start their APD program, but I don't think there's anything stopping you from searching. but so many people don't actually get a mentor until 3, 4, 5, 6 months deep. So as soon as you've got your APD number and you applied, get your mentorship started, I would say straight away, because they might also have experiences or opportunities, or to be able to provide you some feedback on how to kind of make yourself more employable as well.
Yeah, or connections that they might have as well. I think the most important thing with a mentor is finding someone you can actually talk to, but also someone that be able to give you this actual honest advice and feedback to help you move forward. I think you can't meet that person on the straight away, but there's no harm in asking.
Because it's really important that you're the client's advocate. You're not just the person feeling really bad for them all the time. You're actually helping them to get somewhere. It may not be something that you can completely change, but being there and advocating for their health is really important. So an eating disorder is so many different facets, so you would want to understand exactly what is going on for that client. Other things I would want to know would be what are their most feared foods and what are the behaviours around that. So in terms of avoidance, restrictive, binging, purging. And then I would also want to know where the client's at in relation to their problem. So do they identify with it? Are they in that stage of change, so actually wanting to action it? And then whether they're actually ready to make some change would be foundation questions that I would want to ask in terms of my top tips. Because in terms of eating disorder clients, there's not a lot of action that you need to be doing in that first appointment. A lot of that is really building that trust relationship and also kind of coming to terms with what the actual problem is. Because if you don't really know what that is and they don't really know what it is, then it's really important for that to be pretty much the majority of that initial consult. Many clients need an intensive phase of laxative therapy. You might be able to wean them off when they have their life and their bowels sorted, but until then, the anxiety of the poor bowel function is likely worse than the dependency in itself. So people who are constipated will also develop an enlarged, non-responsive colon just by being constipated. So being chronically constipated is more of a concern in the long run. So pick your battles.